Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to continue to take a look at the scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we saw the Asian Wars ending and a new Asia has just emerged, which is very weak and not strong enough, and also explained pretty much everything in the last video at the end. If you check, we can know everything about this new Asia. But yeah, so I'm going to mainly focus on my wicso right now because you want to kind of lock in since I'm only on episode 22, even this one is the 23rd. So yeah, but it's not that much. We need to lock in because we're kind of slowing down. But now that this major thing is over, another major thing is starting. And that is, of course, the Industrial Revolution. I already said that it was going to start, but now you're going to know where it starts and in which year it starts. So some years pass of this, and you see that the Americas are getting massively explored, and it's because the Balearics are using lots of money over here because the Americas coast Balearics are keeping. They want to be rich, so they do this to gain some money, hopefully, and profit. And that means they land in Florida. Yup, Florida has officially been discovered, and that's fully colonized. This is a massive, but yeah, some years are past from the Asian wars. The Balearics are avoiding the Amazon rainforest for now, but they're reaching south. And yeah, other than this, we also say that they cannot surpass the daring gap, but they can do this. So things are starting to get discovered pretty quickly because, as I said, the Balearics are low-key locking in the Americas. And they're going to do a new treaty or a new something to divide all of this up. But now, let's go in 1785 in Belgium. The Industrial Revolution has just started. Why in Belgium? Well, because Belgium, is becoming a really militaristic power. It's pretty, you know, it's locking in. It's now doing a lot of discoveries, and all this we also see Belgium was in the Industrial Revolution in this capital area where they first formed. And then the revolution starts. It picks up steam, and for a brief moment, slime Belgium is the strongest country in the world once again. But then the Balearics get the technology because they're pretty close, and slowly the CTO takes all of the revolution. Same thing for the Baltic. All of the most developed countries will manage to industrialize. Not Asia though. The Philippines will fail to industrialize. Japan will fail to industrialize. Hokkaido manages to do a little bit of industrialization, but it's not really much. It's a pretty small, but they still do it, and so they become the strongest Asian country. Gujarat kind of tries to, and actually managed to, but they're the strongest Asian country, not Hokkaido. It's Gujarat now. Yeah, I know, crazy, but it seems like they are. Egypt also industrialized, doesn't fall behind. Who falls behind is Athens, which at this point is becoming weaker year by year. And so we see a rebellion popping out. In this country, This region wants independence from Athens. They're tired of the bad rule, and they're not. I'm too lazy to do occupation forces. But basically, they just declare independence. They succeed. They succeed. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that and yeah, I would say Athens has lost control of all of this. We can call it Istanbul. It's not Anatolia. It's like Constantinople, I guess. East Istanbul. I don't know. But also we see this autonomous region gaining even more autonomy, and they might gain independence soon, because Athens is in shambles. Like they really fell off. Also, Ireland manages to industrialize. Also, Scotland will manage to. And they will try to have a colony in the Americas, but they will fail because but they will still try. There ain't giving up. But now we see an interesting thing happen. We see Pink Pakistan forming. It's a group of people which just wanted to form a country with a different religion from the bordering ones, and it's going to become a pretty relevant country. Caspia is focusing on stabilizing themselves so they do not expand. Bangladesh will do an expansion, but it might be the last one because we see Belgian troops crossing in and deciding that it's the best moment to fully invade the country. Now that they have industrialized, Bangladesh is really falling behind in tech. And despite the Himalayas or mountains, none of those are really used. They're giving lots of trouble to Belgium, but the Belgians are just stronger. And they managed to win. But now let's take a look at the peace treaty. So we see that Bangladesh dies and Belgium expands their colony. But we see this kind of turning into a dominion, puppet state of Belgium, an overseas thing, which is because the dollar is really hard to control, so they just made different country. But now Gujarat is scared because who's stopping Belgium from fully taking over the Indian subcontinent? Was about to say I was about to say continent. But let's go over to Indonesia because we see Java locking in. They try to industrialize, but not really. Sulawesi fails. The Philippines try to pick up steam. They are getting bigger, but they can't industrialize. They're pretty rural. So it's a failed industrialization. Cambodia also fails, but yeah, they at least take no bro wrong border wrong, right? Next up, we see Indonesia take big advantage of Cambodia. Yeah, it's a reference, but yeah, it ain't happening. Sorry, guys. It was just to make an Olsen reference for a peace all the way, but yeah, it's not happening. Indonesia is not taking big advantage of Cambodia, even also because this isn't even Indonesia, it's Java. But yeah. But we see this Chinese government, they absolutely failing to industrialize. Well, not really. They're more industrialized than China in our world, in our timeline of this one. So they kind of do. Also see Myanmar expanding. This Chinese Republic is a normal form now. Mongolia failed. Archangels didn't fail because they're all with the Baltics. And so with that, Siberia manages to industrialize a little bit. Siberia isn't even isn't that Asian though, so yeah. But we see this happening. Archangelsk is big, Siberia is indeed big, and Asia is starting to get fully, mapped out. We see that the Ankhs are starting to take over. Oh my god. Oh my god, it's so come on. But we see that it's starting exploration. Papua New Guinea it's starting to get discovered. The Philippines are also claiming they still have the strongest navy in Asia. But Hokkaido, guys, Hokkaido is locking in. But yeah, this is as much as they can do. Japan is in shambles. They control this island, but for how much? Really, the ruin of Asia is arriving. But now, 1785 is successfully passed. We'll go into the future where we see that Slime Belgium will lock in on their American colony and just doing this. We also see Ireland doing this. Oslo is going to do this. They're just fully scrambling North America because it's making them really, really strong. Balearics will do a pretty big job. They will just ignore the daring up. Mexico is starting to. They've reached Mexico at this point. But now some explorers will go out south and they will manage to reach a very ancient country which is here. As we see Messyland up here in this wicso. Yes guys, it's Messyland! The country from Andrew Villa Wicso which I formed as reached this multiverse. This is Messyland, but it's like a tribal country. It's called Messyland because it was a theocracy and Messi was like, yeah, I know what's that lore. But Messi was like, God. And yeah. But sadly, this country isn't strong enough. And for that, Messyland will get conquered by the Balearics, which have now decided that it's time to have one of the biggest colonial empires, not the biggest one. So they do another bridge, and they still are scared of the Amazon forest, but they go pretty far. So this is what they managed to do. Yeah, lots of progress in the Americas. All of this is happening for a reason, by the way. But yeah, we saw some stuff happening. Now Ireland can't expand anymore. They will try to have a colony over here. They will actually manage to land here south, and now they have a disconnected colony, which isn't really liked by the other powers. But Belgium is one of Ireland's best allies, so they let it happen. But basically, the 1800s are arriving. We're kind of behind in the Americas, so this is America's focused episode. Because, yeah, but see this happening as Oslo is big, 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 big. But now also see this happening. They keep exploring because North America is still pretty big and vast continent. They want to catch it all. Yeah. Mexico is now starting to get discovered. They do not find tribes over here. Probably is some sort of, but they aren't that strong and relevant. So we see just this happening. And they're getting ready to fully map out and colonize the Americas. But now they go south. Ecuador has officially been discovered. We see this islands, Galapagos, get discovered and mapped out. They're still kind of scared of the Amazon forest, rainforest, but they try to do an exploration. They also get all of Paraguay, but are not really going too much far too further in this because yeah. So we're back in Asia because Gujarat is now expanding because of fear from Belgium. Hey, where have we already seen a country expand because of fear of lacking behind another one? Yep, that's right, it's Belgium. Now the power rankings are number one, the Balearic Empire. Number two is Belgium. Yup. The Industrial Revolution still had a significant impact. Oslo is number three. The Baltic Empire is getting closer, but you know, the revolution has really changed the power rankings. And the 1700s have ended. The 1800s are starting, but the Age of Empires isn't over yet. It's probably going to be the longest era of this week, so it's continuing like since the middle ages or something, like after the war, post-war of the sailors till now. Stuff is still happening, and I already know when this age is ending because I'm starting to plan it out, and it's going to happen eventually. This age is under downfall, like in the end. But there are still some empires. This is why. And there are also main empires, and one of the main empires has to fall. And you guys can guess which one can be. Hence, it's in Europe. But one of all these guys is going to fade away. I'm not going to spoil, but it's not going to be Caspia. Don't worry, it's not going to be Crimea. Not going to spoil because all of the four main countries, all of them are kind of danger because at least one of them is going to have a big downfall, and it can be anyone, really, anyone. So this is what we're seeing. Also, this island in Africa is getting, they're all getting conquered by this guy. Why is African? Because guys, I think you know what it's about to start in Africa and what it's all slowing down. What it's not slowing down is Asia, as we see Mongolia deciding to move west a little bit. And this happens. Caspia, despite it being unstable, they can expand a little bit more. They're starting to resolve their issues, and so they can manage to link up. Look at it. Look at it. It's landing. The Russian Union is pretty stable actually, even though they're getting even bigger, more states, more provinces, but they're still pretty strong. Yo guys, new country just drops. It's not that strong. It's a mid-tier country, I guess, but they do exist. And finally, all of Russia is being claimed. This is the start of something big. But like, really? With that, ladies and gentlemen, the episode the episode of today ends. Because the main topic was the Industrial Revolution. This is why it hasn't been that eventful, even though some stuff happened. It's more like of a filler episode from for something big that's going to happen pretty soon. Episode 24 is going to be another big event. Tune in for that. It's not going to be premiered because it's not that big to be premiered, but it's still relevant. So, yeah. See, yeah.